Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are talking NXT, and we are talking a lot of it because it's a great American bash. And because I'm quite proud of the joke, I'm just going to read what I've tweeted. It's time for the Great American Bash to grow a bat, a shovel, and a broom because NXT is about to start bashing, and we're going to be bashing along with all of it. It's going to be a theme. I'm making it a thing. Immediately dropping in, welcome, Conrad. You must have been sat on YouTube ready for this one and raring to go. Welcome. Welcome. We are currently live on both Twitch and indeed on YouTube. I always like that I get a little thing that pops up on my phone every time I go live on YouTube. Thank you, Chelsea. You are the first. You are the first to get there. It is currently 2 minutes before 1 a.m. over here, UK time. And yes, technically it is the 7th, which means it is indeed my 33rd. Welcome to the show, Chelsea. We will be joined at some point soon by Ed. He's dealing with some, life, really, basically. He's just dealing with life at the moment and will undoubtedly be joining us very, very soon. So I'm flying a little bit solo, a little bit winging it. And basically, I'm going to be walking straight into whatever comes next. I don't watch enough NXT to be fully aware of all of the plans, all of the plots, all of the storylines. I don't really know what's going on most of the time. For those of you who don't actually know that, me, Tom Collique, I sort of drift through life at a strange pace that nobody can quite describe, but I'm sure you are all already aware of that. We're going to be talking about NXT. There's going to be lots of wrestling going on. When Ed is live, we're going to be doing like a podcast format. That tends to be what works for us. But we're also going to be trying to keep up with everything you guys say in the chat. Familiars and regulars here will be fully aware of the system as we generally play it. Essentially, we're an Ask Me Anything stream, and I will try and respond to every single comment that I possibly can. If you missed the news earlier today, Tom's got a job. Tom's got a job, guys. Tom's got a 3-month temporary job, but a job nonetheless that starts next week on Monday, so the 12th of July. Tom has a 3-month job that will pay for the roof over his head, a gym membership, and a new one at that, and hopefully, tide me over until it's time to really go full-time with these good old streams. Hopefully. Who can tell? Justice says, is NXT worth a watch? Hard for me to say. Ideally, Ed would be here for that question. Hard for me to say. When I watch it, I enjoy it. But I don't regularly remind myself to watch it. My head just doesn't go, oh, you've not watched NXT yet. You should go do that. My head just doesn't do that. So when there's occasionally a big event on, like the Great American Bash, Ed will poke me a few times. And before you know it, here I am, watching the Great American Bash. Thank you, Chelsea, for the congratulations. 2 big congratulations that you've given so far today. We will, of course, be having a live birthday party tomorrow, and a big one at that, late on during the day. So there is a lot of wrestling that's planned tonight. There's a tag team championship, which will hopefully be a big step forward, as it were. There's another tag team championship, men's and women's. There's a $1 million championship. And there's also a rematch between Adam Cole, Bebe, and, of course, Kyle O'Reilly. So basically, all of the big storylines culminate now. At the end of this, we'll be starting all the storylines again as we lead up to whatever the takeover is going to be at SummerSlam. But that will be the great hurrah of this NXT generation. The grand goodbye. The grand, oh well, at least we had Texas. That sort of situation. Because a hell of a lot of people currently in NXT are going to get pulled out straight over to Raw, straight over to SmackDown, and they're not even going to get a chance to say goodbye. So we are seeing the calm before the storm. We're about to see at some point soon a thorough dismantling of NXT. It's going to be pulled apart piece by goddamn piece. And this is basically the last the death throes, the eye of the storm, before they have to start all over again. We have about as close to a crowd as we can get at the moment in WWE land. They're all into a big sign that says Bud Light Seltzer. Sponsors know what they're doing. We are opening with tag team action. This is going to feel like a takeover. This is going to feel like we're watching an NXT takeover. It is MSK, and it will be Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. I would not be too surprised to see a championship change hands tonight, but maybe not this one. Maybe not this one. I think if anything, it's going to be the women's tag team championships that change hands, but it's not impossible that this will. Again, I wouldn't be too surprised. I do feel they've got everything they need to actually make it happen. More than anything, though, we just know we're going to get a really good match out of this. Because, look who's in the wrestling match. Of course we're going to get a great match out of this. How insane would it be if this did not deliver high quality? I can't see that happening. Jill says, what time will the $1 million championship be? I'm not sure. They haven't really laid out what the card's going to be. I expect that will likely be early second hour or late first hour. Logically, for me, that would be early second hour or late first hour. I can give you a poke and let you know. That works fine for me. Ciampa and Thatcher, they're looking more and more like a tag team every week, it seems. I don't know whether that's because Thatcher is literally following Ciampa's lead pretty much whatever he does. But hey, it's happening. Ciampa wearing gold and blue, Thatcher just wearing the blue. He doesn't look like a wrestler. He doesn't look like he has a flair to be a wrestler. He just looks like a guy who's coming off the street and started throwing punches at people. Which, by the way, I'm not upset by. I think that's a good thing. It's that bit of variation. I like that, as strange as it is, I really like that for some reason, somehow, the British people became the real tough ones. I can try, Chelsea. I can try. I'll see how it plays out, but I can try. At the very least, you can keep a track of the NXT Twitter account. The NXT Twitter account will undoubtedly let us know what's coming next. You're just excited to see DiBiase, aren't you? MSK holding the championships over their opponents. They've been a while as tag team champions so far. It's been a solid run, lots of high-quality matches, and just generally lots of matches. There's been no screwing around. They've just put them into positions whereby they can go to war with people, and then they've just let them go to war. What's not to like? And we are off. Ciampa starting. Genuinely struggle to remember the names of MSK. Gotta be honest. I know it's Wesley. Is it Ben Carter? No, wasn't that a former president? I don't know enough American. I don't get American history in my school. I don't get British history in my school. Although, to be fair, it's mostly Romans and Tudors. Tudors were awesome, though. That looked like a botch, but ended up smooth as anything. Bit of kiss blowing, bit of romance. You can be romantic with Timothy Thatcher instead. Nash, thank you. Of course it's Nash. Welcome, Ed. Of course it's Nash. Always forget little details like that. Little things that should stand out, but kind of don't. Either way, he can be romantic with Timothy Thatcher. He's chosen against it. I've now got a bit of a double team going on. I do feel this is a very interesting clash of styles. And I avoid the phrase styles clash because then everyone thinks of AJ Styles. But this is a very interesting clash of styles. We've got two absolute bruisers who are literally just throwing haymakers and bruising people. And then on the other side, you've got the flip artists, the people that Randy Orton really don't like, you know? No Randy Orton to be seen on that basis. But it's one of those. If he was there, he would not like MSK. I'd imagine he'd really like Timothy Thatcher, though. Like, I think he'd really like Timothy Thatcher. And we know that Randy Orton has pitched several times now the opportunity of wrestling against Ciampa, which Ciampa's now kind of going for himself. They're expanding. They're getting wider and bigger. They're trying to find new audiences and all that jazz. And hey, Randy Orton's sort of at the helm of it all. Right. Thank you, Megan. Right. It was Nash Carter. Ben Carter's in NXT UK as Nathan Fraser. That must be where I'm getting confused. I'd imagine I've seen Ben Carter, Nathan Fraser, whatever they call him, wrestle at some point in an indie circuit, maybe a PCW, and it's just stuck in my head. It's happened before. It doesn't help that I do have a little bit of brain damage, like genuinely, a little tiny bit of brain damage. So my short-term memory is terrible. This is a beauty of having a stat queen. Several other people who will always keep me honest in this here chat. Welcome, Megan. How the devil are you? Did you speedrun a Sebastian Stan film to watch NXT? Because if so, you didn't learn your lesson yesterday, did you? The Bruisers are in control at the moment. Ciampa pinning Wesley into the corner. A few rest holds. Just a strong grip and the like. And now we're going to change our format ever so slightly because we do have someone who's ready to join us. Joining us from way over there in America, so celebrating the Great American Bash. I don't know if he's bashing Americans or if it's me bashing him. But, oh, hang on, I'm getting a lot of pokes. Someone's trying to get my attention. I'll just wait. Don't know if he's saying he's ready or not. Okay, I'm bringing him in. Please welcome chat moderator and the longest serving member of the College Unity, tenured as ever it must be. Welcome Ed Fries to the chat. Welcome, Ed.
Well, hello. You get to also see me from a different room because my mother's still in the living room, so I had to move my setup.
A whole new experience. Ed Fries as you've never seen him before.
Yes.
Have you got NXT up and loaded, sir? Are you watching?
I do. I'm just loading it up now.
It's okay. You've come in just in time for a commercial break. Don't you worry.
Even better.
Oh, interesting. Megan, how did TikTok go haywire? What happened there?
Yeah, I heard it broke down.
TikTok broke down? Well, I have not checked it for a couple of hours. What can I say?
Our friends that love wrestling posted a thing about a very special ghost's birthday yesterday, and all of a sudden TikTok went down.
Sounds about
and
right.
They thought it was their fault for making a poor joke about Adam Cole.
Well, that does sound about right. I mean, it's Adam Cole. You got to. Wiggly's here joining us. Has already asked again for a score prediction. I've said several times. 2-1. Several times. Matt is here, says, have we got a watch along going? We do indeed. Matt, welcome to the show. We are doing a Great American Bash watch along with myself and Ed Fries. Ed, you're American.
I am.
How does it feel for you to have these sort of shows where they really celebrate the being of American?
I love it because I'm American and this is what I've been raised on. But at the same time, I understand why everybody else thinks it's odd. I don't think anybody else, other countries, don't celebrate themselves the way Americans do.
No. The British way is a certain amount of shame, like at all times. A BT Sports crash, so you may have to vamp a little bit.
That's fine.
Yeah. The British way is basically to hate our country, but no one else is allowed to hate our country. We all hate our country, but if you hate our country, we're gonna have a problem, and a serious one. But then at the same time, there's also like inter issues. So like the British are supposed to hate the Scots. The British, the English are supposed to hate the Scots. The English are supposed to hate the Welsh. The English are supposed to hate the Irish.
And isn't there a fun thing where if anybody else from any of those countries does something great, they become British
Yes.
or English?
Yes.
But if they don't, they're just from their own country?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect example is Andy Murray, who won Wimbledon. Good old tennis. Megan's already brought it up about Andy Murray. Yeah, he is Scottish, and I say that because he's not winning at the moment. Other times, yeah, he's British. Them's the rules.
I was gonna say, I remember the Grand Tour did a thing like that where they talked about different people who make a technological advance or do something historical. And if you do something great, you become English. But
Yes.
if you don't do anything great, you're just British.
Yes.
Because you're part of Great Britain.
Yeah. Yeah. British is a catch-all. We kind of claim you, but we also kind of don't. Megan says, for a while, my account was blank as per TikTok. Nothing was loading and I was signed out on desktop and it tried to get me to change my username as it wasn't valid anymore. Yeesh, I'm glad I missed this one. Matt says, as an American, I could care less. And Wiggly says, as regards the UK, and the Brexiters just hate foreigners. Do you know what he means by Brexiters?
Yes, the people, the people who want to break Britain away from the EU.
Yeah,
the silly people, right?
Indeed. The Wiggly is also claiming Drew McIntyre and indeed Nikki Cross.
No, those two are Scottish. I know that one. Even WWE says that they're Scottish.
No, Nikki Cross is Scottish. Drew McIntyre is a British world champion. You see how it works. Vibav, welcome to the show. Is asking for an update on Bea Priestley. Not sure what to tell you. She wrestles in NXT UK now.
She has a new name, Blair something.
Her name is Blair something.
It's Blair, and then there's a last name attached.
Yeah, I can't remember either. It's one of those. I'd imagine I'm supposed to care a lot more than I do, but it's Bea Priestley and it's NXT UK. I don't know anyone who watches NXT UK.
I still watch NXT UK on the occasion.
Okay, so that's one.
I love me some NXT UK.
Thank you, Megan. Blair Davenport.
Yes, she's from Seth Rollins' hometown of Davenport, Iowa.
Oh, I did not know that. I mean,
so you were talking about the kissy things that were going on in the match. That comes from a promo last week that was done where they did a face-to-face between MSK and Ciampa and Thatcher. And at the end of the interview, Ciampa gets right up next to Wesley. No, Nash. I honestly don't know which one is which. I really don't. I should, but I don't. I'm not the biggest MSK fan. They're fantastic in the ring. Could care less about them.
Okay.
But he's speaking in his ear and he's telling him, next you got a free shot in us on this week because he slapped Ciampa. And Thatcher wanted to kill them both. And he's like, you got a free shot this week, but next week you get no respect, you get no nothing, and we're going to beat your asses. And then he kissed him on the side of the face. So I'm assuming MSK was doing the kissy faces because that sounds like something they'd do.
That's disappointing to me. I just thought they really wanted to fuck. Now I'm sad. Thank you, Brillman. Welcome, Gleb. How you doing, mate? Has gifted a sub to the chat, and that sub, a tier 1, has gone to Megan. Thank you very much and welcome. I'm going to catch up with the chat a little bit. Absolutely. Megan confirming when he wins he's a Brit, when he loses he's a Scot. That is absolutely correct. That Matt says Ben Franklin was probably British until a certain time. To be fair, all you Americans, you were also British until you made the first big mistake and decided not to be. Since then, we've disowned you.
They threw tea in the harbor down the street.
What's that?
I said they threw tea in the harbor down the street to protest you guys. I live outside of Boston.
Massive mistakes. Megan said, it seems fine, though. Just need to get back to Marvel TikTok. Yeah, I'm struggling with TikTok at the moment. I was on gay TikTok, and it was fantastic because everyone's just so happy. But now I'm suddenly surrounded by people who want to sell me an OnlyFans. I don't care. I don't want it.
Tom, I hear you're going to be doing something a little OnlyFans style in October, right?
Technically, I have to formally announce that
You
on
did on
PW
Twitter.
Torch. On PW Torch, I have to formally announce that.
Okay.
I've got a whole joke thing lined up, and it's ridiculous, but you got to let me play my joke.
I'm sorry. I saw it on Twitter and assumed that was. I'm thinking now. I'm in my head. I'm like, no, that was a public tweet. That wasn't a DM from me and Tom.
It was a public tweet, yeah. It was. I just thought it'd be funny. I thought it'd be funny. Wiggly says Drew McIntyre has come out saying he considers himself British, supported remaining in the UK. Also is a very entrenched Rangers fans who have a strong unionism connection. All very true facts. However, it's up to us when he's Scottish again, not him. And if he loses to Jinder Mahal, he's Scottish again. Matt says NXT UK is one of those shows where there is just too much wrestling for me to see it all. Yeah. I also think it's a show that involves primarily wrestling, and that's not really it for me. Wiggly said, and this is a question I want to ask you. He says, I'm all triggered hearing the word Thatcher. Thatcher is almost as offensive as Reagan and Trump. Just quickly before we go on to that, Brillman says, hello and have a good stream. Welcome, Brillman. Thanks for dropping in. Megan thanks him for the gift. But Wiggly has mentioned the word Thatcher. Ed, do you know what the word Thatcher means over here in the UK?
I'm gonna guess it has something to do with former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher.
It is indeed a direct reference to Margaret Thatcher, which is just a really, really bad choice. She was massively right-wing. She was like full-on Republican, as it were. Mm-hmm. And it really picks a side. Now, she's very well respected, obviously. One of the first major roles to be held by a woman, and she got shit done. But she was also just horrible. Much like Boris Johnson is just horrible.
Ciampa is one of those guys that just amazes me, that even in a storyline that feels kind of forgotten, this man can continue to show you how talented he is and just make it so he's undeniable.
I'm going to have to disagree on the word undeniable. I really am.
Wow.
I think since losing to Karrion Kross, Ciampa has just sort of been there.
I agree. He's just sort of been there. But the man's talent is undeniable. Every time you watch him in the ring, he's going out and having one of the best matches on whatever card he's on.
I don't question the talent, but it's not enough. I think essentially since he came out and said, I don't want to go to the main roster, I think since then, they've stopped caring about him.
That's very true.
This may be something that's about to change. We're 20 minutes in, he may be about to win a tag team championship. So it may be something that's about to change. But at the moment, I'm not really seeing it. This is not the same Ciampa of Goldie. This is not the same Ciampa of Johnny Gargano. This is not the same Ciampa of Karrion Kross. It's just kind of a guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I would love to see the Psycho Killer back again.
Yeah,
I would. And maybe this is a way to get back to Psycho Killer. But it's hard when you have so much talent that needs the title push, and you don't have the space.
True. They're about to find a lot of space after all. Wiggly says, irony is T isn't even British, something else they stole from the subcontinent. Very, very true. So they can protest however they want. It's still not working out. Brummer says, I'm all right, preparing my own work tomorrow on broadcasting LFL. What's up with you people? How's your job interview, Tom? The job interview went very well. I can say as of the 12th of July, I do start a 3-month temporary post, and I do have a couple more jobs in the pipeline. How are you, Ed?
I'm doing well. It was a bit of a late start to the evening, but finished my dinner and finished it a little bit late, but finished my dinner and then rushed to switch the setup so I could be in here with all of these wonderful people.
MSK have
and Wigglytuff.
MSK have just retained the tag team championships. I would say a bit of a shock roll-up. I think that's what they were trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
It was inconclusive a finish. Certainly inconclusive. They might be saying, do you follow cricket? Not at all. Not even a slightest bit. Matt confirms what I was saying earlier. Drew doesn't get a say in it. He doesn't get to choose whether he's British or not. He just sort of is. Megan says Thatcher means epic bitch. Wiggly saying Thatcher was awful. Brillman, Gleb also very much aware of the Iron Lady. Iron Lady is quite legendary, I must say. Vebab is saying that Karrion Kross will meet the same fate as Aleister Black in the main roster. Ed, do you agree with that?
No. I will say no for one simple fact. I think Karrion Kross has the body that Tommy End doesn't have. Kross is a bit bigger. He's a bit more meaty. He's a bit more Vince McMahon style. He has half the charisma and talent that Tommy End has, but he feels like a guy that Vince will give a shot to. Whereas Tommy End came up and got a tag team with Ricochet, which honestly I loved. To be perfectly honest, the two of them together, I love the two of them together. Now, the highlight for me in all of Aleister Black, Tommy End stuff that I've seen in WWE and including NXT for that is his work with Patrick. We'll call him Patrick because he doesn't get to have that old name anymore. But that feud was one of the, in my mind, still one of the greatest NXT feuds of all time. Was Patrick versus Aleister Black.
It certainly caught the eye and really made both of them into really big names in the NXT circuit. It certainly got one of them over to a point where they were desperately trying to get them onto the main roster. Very good thing that they did not succeed. Megan says, one of the great joys I have in life is not having to have lived through Thatcher as Prime Minister. Same. So yeah, I think you're getting the vibe, Ed, of what we're trying to say about Timothy Thatcher having that surname.
But he took it as a heel when he was in, because he's been in heel stables for most of his career in England, right?
I believe so. I think it's just got that aura about him where you don't want to cheer this guy. You know?
I mean, he was part of Ring Camp for how many years?
I don't know why they don't go back to that. I really don't. Especially with how many gaps there are in it now. Anyway, I digress. Bebov says, one historic blunder of Vince McMahon. This is as regards Aleister Black. One of many, and I don't think we can entirely blame Vince McMahon. You've got to remember an entire creative team, and in fact, Aleister Black was part of the constant reinvention of Aleister Black.
I'd also say that I don't think Aleister Black hits historic levels of botching when it comes to NXT talent. I mean, it's a bad botch, but if you're going to say historic, I mean, they couldn't get Adrian Neville over the way they should have. If you look at the people that were stars in NXT and then not being able to carry that to the main roster, Bo Dallas. I will go to bat for Bo Dallas against anybody who wants to argue about it. Bo Dallas is one of the top 10 most influential and important people in NXT history.
Who let Bo Dallas down? Because in reality, Bo Dallas came up, attempted to do the same thing he'd done on NXT, and the crowd didn't like it.
Agreed.
So was it not the fact? This is one of the reasons we have, or at least I always question the idea, is NXT giving WWE talent that WWE can actually use. The captive audience of NXT, not just at the arenas, but also because they'd already signed up to the network, they'd already decided NXT was good before they actually watched it. That captive audience gave Bo Dallas everything he needed. They gave him every piece of energy required. Everything. And then he got up to the main roster, different crowd, different expectations, gave him absolutely nothing. Was it the WWE's fault that Bo Dallas had one defined character and it wasn't over?
No, I don't think it's WWE's fault at all that he didn't get over. However, it's telling that you can have a segment of your audience that is so invested in your product and that you can't get characters that audience enjoys over to the level that you need. Tom, what's your battery level at? Apparently NXT's battery level is at 91%.
I was at 91%, yes. If I look at my phone, I'm on a 49, so I'm actually a little bit of a swap because I've got everything going on Twitch so I don't miss anything. It's the only way to really keep track at this point. Let me catch up a little bit on the chat. Brillman's headed off, says, by any means, everybody make sure you have a great evening and a night. Hoping you'll enjoy it, and I'm going to catch up with my sleeping schedule. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen, and to you, Gleb. Hope you have a great time. Matt says, why is MSK getting a roll-up victory? Why aren't we getting a clean win? I'd say that's a pretty clear one. They don't want to bury Ciampa and Thatcher. They want to keep them looking strong, so a bit of luck going in their way is not a bad thing at all. Wiggly says he adopted the Thatcher name as a heel as a nod to Margaret Thatcher. I believe so. Yes.
I mean, don't quote me on it, but potentially.
That's why I said I believe so.
Yeah.
Matt says, I'm also a big Bo Dallas fan. Was it enough? Wasn't enough. And Vebab was asking what happened with Jimmy Uso. Basically, he got drunk, he drove his car, and he got arrested again. That's everything that happened with Jimmy Uso.
This is the 4th time in 6 years?
Yeah, I looked it up after the stream earlier, and it is indeed 4 times in 6 years. It's not good. It's really not good.
If you want to, I just want to say one thing. If you want to see WWE make fun of it when it was still a joke at the time, look up John Cena versus the Usos promo. Yeah.
They were joking about it when it happened twice. They'll joke about it now. It's happened 4 times. They'll always joke about it. In the ring at the moment, there are 3 damn good suits. 3 damn good suits. Also, Johnny Gargano, who couldn't offer the dignity of putting on a goddamn suit. Can I just say, it's very clear who the bad guy is in this.
Of course. It's Johnny Gargano.
Because
he can't wear a suit.
Karrion Kross looks very good in a suit.
Karrion Kross looks good in anything, man. I love Karrion Kross. The Killer Kross gimmick. I love it all. I think he's a star. I believe in him. Is he going to have a 5-star match? No. But that's not a requirement to be a star.
There are very few people in the WWE who've ever had 5-star matches. Roman Reigns has never had a 5-star match.
Oh, but he hasn't been gifted the 5-star.
You have to be gifted it. It's all down to Meltzer's opinion, isn't it? When
I do love that man.
I'll make my own system, and it'll be better.
I do love how that man gets to have an opinion about every wrestling match, but then can't take fans' opinions of him.
Yep.
And his opinion. Because I'm blocked by Dave Meltzer. And I'm relatively nice on Twitter.
Yeah, it's only when you're chatting with me that you're an absolute bitch, isn't it?
Only in the DMs.
Only in the DMs.
And to Professor Wiggly stuff over there.
Who is here watching NXT even though I'm not a big fan? Your nemesis, yeah, got a full-on rivalry going. Let's catch up. Matt says Bo was supposed to be an ironic heel. Fans didn't really buy it, then they started liking him instead of hating him. Either way, it all went completely tits up, basically.
It did.
And this was a time where heels that got over were buried. Bo never got over, so I can't really say he was one that got over and buried. Sandow, yes, absolutely fair. He got over and was buried. Rusev, it was a while before we got to that level, and I don't necessarily think he was buried, but he wasn't pushed. You know? That's where I sit on that one. Wiggly actually mentions Sheamus calling Jeff a junkie all the time. Not sure whether to laugh or cry at how lame it was. There was a reason for that. They were essentially trying to rewrite history and rewrite Google search results with that one. I do actually have a YouTube video on this, where essentially one of the main reasons they had this particular situation was to try and hide the reality behind a wall of kayfabe, because you can replace things on Google by having a higher domain authority than the people initially reporting them. So if someone reports Jeff Hardy actually being a junkie, and then you've got a storyline of a junkie, which actually pops up higher on Google Trends, that's a way that the WWE can hide reality. In the same way they did the greatest wrestling match ever, so that when you search for the greatest wrestling match ever, you will only get Edge and Randy Orton. You won't get, for example, Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. Baba said, how do you react if Elias, after proper build-up, gets a mid-card title run? Not surprised. It's long overdue, but it's not happening. I think Elias is more likely to be next out of the company, to be completely honest with you. Ooh, Wiggly's throwing shade at you, Ed. I'll give this over to you to respond to.
I mean, Wigglytuff. I mean, he didn't even pick the best Pokemon.
I mean, I expected a full-on promo there, but
no promo. No promos for people like him. No, I love Wigglytuff, but anybody who doesn't think NXT is one of WWE's best television products is vastly underrating what NXT is capable of.
Bebov says, why Rusev Day was continued. Basically, the intention was to transition from the tag team into a singles push for Rusev. They got a bit of a singles push for Rusev, and then he was taken off TV because of an injury to Lana. After this, they came back, and they were trying to get him to sign a new contract. In order to get him to sign a new contract, as well as getting Lana and Lashley to sign new contracts, they gave them the most viewed storyline of the last 5 years. It is the strongest drawing storyline of 5 years. Lana signed a new contract. It was for so much money that they eventually had to release her because she was being paid that much. Rusev didn't sign, went elsewhere. Lashley signed and basically said, give me Lesnar or you aren't going to get another one. Ed, yes. Rusev Day. Discuss.
Rusev Day was a wonderful moment in time where they came up with an idea that WWE thought would be like, oh, people will hate this. This will be dumb. People won't like this. And the IWC took over and was like, no, we love these two guys. They're fantastic. We want more of them. And WWE's like, well, this wasn't supposed to happen. Now we have to push them. Sort of, kind of, in a way. But Aiden English reached levels that I don't think he'd ever reach again.
Yeah.
And Drama King Matt is an ultra talented person, and I can't wait to see what this man does next, whether it be in wrestling or, as he's trying to do, explore other options with gaming and whatnot. But the man is a wonderfully talented and amazing man, and I'm really excited to see what that man does next. Rusev, on the other hand, people want to say that WWE had a really bad time with Rusev, and they did. They screwed up Rusev pretty bad a couple times. That being said, he then goes to AEW to do the best man gimmick with Kip Sabian. He's there for 9 months and is on TV less than 5 times in wrestling matches in 9 months. Now, granted, they finally got him away from Kip Sabian. They finally got him on his own, and he's doing fantastic. And I'm so happy that he's finally doing something he can be happy with. But, I mean, for everybody who talks about how the creative freedom in AEW is going to be great for all these talents, yes, but if everybody has creative freedom, people are going to get left behind. And there are already people being left behind in that company 2 years out.
I like to highlight the fact that, and it's said a lot of times, if everyone's special, then no one is. If everyone has creative control, then no one does. Because if me and you are in a match, and you're told you're going over, but I've got creative control, so no, I'm going over. But you've got creative control, so no, you're going over. And before you know it, Hulk Hogan is having his Hulk Hogan moment with Jeff Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one can come to a conclusion. No one can come to a decision. Too many cooks. It's a good thing for me that Tony Khan has been stepping in a lot more recently.
I think that there's a different creative control in AEW than we're used to. Because I think the creative control AEW is more of literally the word creative. They're being able to be more creative with their character, more so than the booking. I don't think there's not many people in AEW, I think, that have control over the booking of their matches. But I think everybody has creative control in terms of how they appear on television.
And I think what we're finding, Rusev's a good example. Sean Spears, for me, is an even better example. Maybe WWE weren't wrong not to push certain people. Maybe they just had a ceiling that they've also reached very quickly in AEW as well.
Yes, and AEW is making a lot of interesting choices with the way they're booking their talent. I've been let down by the Pinnacle versus Inner Circle feud, where we're just now getting to the singles matches and the tag team matches that should have led to something like Blood and Guts. Blood and Guts was like the first big match between the two groups. And I'm like, how do you not have like 3 months of storyline going into a match like Blood and Guts?
I'm going to try and catch up with quite a bit of the chat here, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and we're going to fly through them. I want your response to this. Wiggly says NXT is just for those not good enough for the main roster. You've got 1 minute. 1 minute starting now.
NXT is a home for people who would rather wrestle and entertain a group of wrestling fans that are there to watch professional wrestling than to watch the spectacle that is WWE main roster. WWE main roster is a spectacle. NXT is the homegrown. These are the guys that I get to see week in and week out, like your favorite indie promotion.
Well done. Only 30 seconds required. Matt says, how much do you two care about the $1 Million Championship? I'm going to be honest, it's a prop for me. It's just sort of a pretty little belt rather than a standard one. But that's true of most title belts. Ed, how much do you care?
It's the same. It's a beautiful prop belt. It doesn't mean anything because there's no lineage, because it doesn't have to. It's a storyline type of thing, and it does what it needs to do. It tells a storyline, almost always involving a DiBiase of some kind, and it puts somebody over for a period of time to help give them a little bit of a boost. And LA Knight needed that boost. Cameron Grimes needed that boost.
Vebab is saying, who will retire Lesnar? In my opinion, Heath Slater would be a great draw. Heath Slater, no chance whatsoever. That's never going to happen. I will tell you who I think it will be and then who I would like it to be. I think it will be Roman Reigns. And I think it should be Keith Lee. Ed, you are muted.
Sorry. I think it could be John Cena. I think it should be Karrion Kross.
Got some good options there, I feel. Got some good options. Matt says, I think AEW is giving the fans a bit more of what they want more directly. I think Orange Cassidy is a product of that. I have questions as regards Orange Cassidy as to whether Orange Cassidy was created to supply a need for the fans, or whether the fans basically created Orange Cassidy themselves, but that's just my opinion on it. When you talk about more of what the fans want, I wouldn't really compare apples and oranges here. AEW and WWE are both in the exact same field in that. They are both sports entertainment. They are both trying to provide what fans want. And Orange Cassidy is not entirely unique in the world of wrestling. Wiggly is saying, I mean, look, was Miro actually any good? Yeah, he really was. Now,
if you haven't watched anything recently, you should watch some of his more recent matches, especially one against Lance Archer.
What I will say, he's a very good wrestler. I wouldn't put him at like top, like pinnacle of wrestling, but I think comedically, his timing is perfect. His promos, when he's got a little bit more freedom, he can actually deliver something very, very strong. And I don't know, it just, when he plays a bit more of a laid-back character, for me, I just connect a lot more with the guy.
If you want to know how good of a comedy character Rusev can be, the only thing you have to look is Southpaw Regional Wrestling. And if you've never heard of or never seen Southpaw Regional Wrestling, as soon as this is over, go to YouTube and search Southpaw Regional Wrestling and watch it all. Most of that talent's in AEW now, I'll admit. Yeah. But there are absolute classics in there with Chet Cheddarfield and John Cena's character of Lance Catamaran and the banker.
If we look through, and I want to at some point, if we look through the entirety of Southpaw Regional Wrestling and see who's actually still there, John Cena's not there right now.
No.
Fandango.
Nope.
Renee Young.
Nope.
Tyler Breeze.
Nope.
Chris Jericho.
No.
Who was that? Who was their champion? The really boring one who kept forgetting his championship belt.
TJ Perkins.
TJ
Perkins.
It was TJ Perkins. Nothing from him either. Rusev was there. Lana. Who else have we got? Of course, your main stars who actually really helmed the idea. The Good Brothers.
Yes. Sex Ferguson and Chad Too Bad.
Tex Ferguson. He wasn't allowed to call himself Sex.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's Sex Ferguson now.
So that's... Oh, Ric Flair. I think that's the only one who's actually still with the company, but he's not there now.
That was an impersonator.
No, that's a fair point, yeah. He was a very good impersonator. Almost had me sold. But you're right. Even when you look at the second year, they had a tag team of Seth Rollins and Rhino.
Seth is still there. I would say the only other ones I can think of that are still there is the New Day. They had the Voodoo Brothers. It was Xavier Woods and Big E.
Yes. God, I missed that show. They could have done so much more with it. Could have done so much more. Wiggly says, that's what pro wrestling is about. No, the entertainment, the spectacle, the larger-than-life personas, the pyro, the music, and some in-ring action too. I get it with NXT, it's a stripped-back, bare bones, focusing just on the in-ring skill. But as I said, that's the point, to groom them for the main roster. I agree when you say that it's stripped back and bare bones. I definitely agree there. That's one of the reasons I'm not the biggest fan of NXT. There is too much wrestling in my wrestling show for this one. I get bored. I start to wander off and just my eyes wander. It's why I'm barely even watching the TV right now. I'm going to be completely honest with you. This is
We're doing a podcast again. We can't do these together because we always do a podcast.
We've got basically too active a chat as much as anything as well. We've got to keep up with this. It's difficult. But yeah, when we talk about grooming them for the main roster, there are real concerns in WWE that what they're getting is not people ready for the main roster. Just not people ready at all for the main roster. So I have questions about that one.
I think it's funny that the people running the developmental territory for WWE are two guys who throughout their career were constantly accused of not putting people over and not being able to groom the next generation of talent. And you have Triple H helming developmental, trying to make the next group of stars. And you have Shawn Michaels by his side, giving as much knowledge as he possibly can to all of this talent, both here and at NXT UK, where he helps run television storylines for NXT UK.
I really can't argue with that. That is a really good point. Two guys who it would be a lot like Hulk Hogan being in charge of AEW.
Yep.
Coming in and saying, I'm going to breed the next generation. Oh, wait, no, he said that in Impact, didn't he? Yeah, that worked out. Good time.
As Eric Bischoff says, he was solely there because Hulk wanted to go there, and he was there to look out for Hulk and Hulk's interests.
Yep.
That's a scary proposition when you have Eric Bischoff saying, the only reason I was in a company was to take care of Hulk.
To be fair, that's kind of why he was in WWE most recently, to take care of Fox. Vebab asked, one wrestling moment that stopped your heart. I am going to suggest Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg 1, not as in WrestleMania 20, Survivor Series.
Oh, okay.
The match that lasted a minute and a half. That was an experience and a half for me.
I have two, because I'm a child of the new generation era, when kayfabe was still kayfabe and things were real, and I was young, so kayfabe was easier to keep up because I was 12. Yeah. That being said, the night Shawn Michaels collapsed in the ring as part of a storyline with Owen Hart, where he had to be taken to the hospital, and to keep it up, Vince had to kayfabe the doctors because he didn't want things to get out. So he had to convince the doctors that Shawn was okay to get Shawn out of the hospital to make the next shot. There's that. And then I go back to with another Brock Lesnar match, WrestleMania 30. The moment Brock breaks the streak, my heart stopped. Because I grew up watching The Undertaker from the early 90s, and seeing him lose at WrestleMania was something I never thought I'd ever see.
Megan has done her research on Southpaw, and this is covering both seasons, where she has scanned through the list of people in both seasons and said that the only ones remaining are Seth Rollins, The New Day, Dolph Ziggler, Natalya, because after all, they only hired one woman, AJ Styles, Adam Pearce. I did not know Adam Pearce was in that. And John Cone. I don't recall that. What was Adam Pearce's role?
Adam Pearce was part of the end of the second season, I want to say. I forget what he did. But it sounds like something he would have done. Scrap Iron's a very funny dude.
Oh no, I'm going to have to watch it again.
Oh no, I have to watch something funny again.
And The Miz.
Oh, how did we forget The Miz?
Megan says Adam Pearce was a janitor. Sounds about right.
I mean, he wasn't as good a janitor as Bridler Breeze, but, you know.
Well, you say that, but I've not watched it recently, so maybe he was. Wiggly says Io Shirai should have been on the main roster a long time ago. The issue you've got, and I want to be really clear on this, NXT is about to have quite a lot of people taken away from it. None of which by their own choice. We've got this show. The takeover at SummerSlam is the last hurrah. That's literally the last hurrah of this generation. Then a load of people are going to be taken out, and it's not up to NXT who is taken out. If they'd have done that in the past, you look at the women's division at the moment, you look at the women's division a year ago, Io Shirai was vital. A year ago, there was nothing really building up Shotzi Blackheart. You go back a little bit further, before Rhea Ripley came in. Imagine taking away Io Shirai during that.
Imagine not having the bin on your head moment from War Games.
Well,
if nobody knows what that is, you have to look up the women's War Games match where Io Shirai puts the metal trash can on her head and prays that 9 people are going to catch her.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, my microphone apparently unplugged and then replugged back.
Okay. I can try to vamp a little here. But no, NXT has one of the most stacked women's divisions in the world right now. So yes, they can afford to lose her now, but only because they've been able to make people like Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai bigger stars than they were. If they had raided NXT a year ago before Women's War Games, they'd be in a really, really tough spot right now. But they have the Casey Cannon and they have Caden Carter. You're good. And they have so much talent coming in that, like Saray. So we've scratched the surface of what Saray can do. And Saray could be the next Io Shirai. Saray could be the next Asuka.
They do have a lot of talent coming in, but let me just throw some names out that have been mentioned to me in the past. Io Shirai.
The surface of what Saray.
Toni Storm. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Ember Moon. Shotzi Blackheart. All of them have been mentioned to me as call-ups. How does the women's division look with 2 championships to cover as well if all of those are called up?
They still look fine. You have Frankie Monet, you have Saray, you have Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell.
Yep.
You're still going to have Zoe Stark. You're still going to have Priscilla Kelly. Gigi Dolan, I think is
Gigi Dolan, yes.
You're still going to have a bunch of talent that they've been bringing in recently. And you can bring over people like Kaylee Ray. You can bring over people like, you can't bring over Miko Satomura, but there's a ton of talent in NXT UK and their women's division that you could move over as they keep hiring more and more women's talent, because they just took Bea Priestley, who's one of the biggest stars in all of women's wrestling, not WWE, not AEW. Which was a big loss for AEW, I think, not having a Bea Priestley as part of their division.
There is definitely going to be a lot of work that goes into the future of NXT, trying to make sure that they can bring in a new generation, because they are about to lose the current generation. We've already seen in the tryouts and the like, Karrion Kross, Cameron Grimes, Toni Storm, Scarlett, Shotzi Blackheart. It looks like they're making clear who they're intending to bring up. It really does. And we're just hearing more and more as regards names and potential. So it's going to be after the end of August, beginning of September. NXT is going to look nothing like it does right now. What I will say is that, by all accounts, the Way are still going to be there at the top.
As they should. I think that Candice LeRae needs a run with that NXT Women's Championship at the top. I think a face Candice LeRae, bring her back, turn her face again, and have her with Frankie Monet is a takeover to 2 storyline that you can run.
Would you have a feud between LeRae and Hartwell?
Yeah, I think that's where you get the face turn.
Yeah,
I think you would turn Indy heel, and you would have her and Dexter Lumis go heel, and you would turn Johnny Gargano and Candice face, and then Austin Theory can do his own thing.
I have to ask this question, and it's a question that's been haunting me for a long time. Is Dexter Lumis going to work on the main roster?
No, not a chance in hell.
I absolutely do not see it working.
It didn't work in Impact.
I don't see the crowd giving him the benefit of the doubt. And that's what you need for a character like that.
I don't think Vince will give him the benefit of the doubt, to be perfectly honest with you, to go even further than that.
Should he?
No. But I also don't think NXT realizes that he's not. Dexter Lumis is a lot like Orange Cassidy. He's a comedy-ish type of character. He has a defined role in what he's going to do. He can challenge for the world championship, but I don't think many people want him to be world champion. He doesn't need to be world champion. Oh, we have a new butler in the house.
You're not going to get a stipulation like that and not have it play out, are you?
I mean, you do if you're AEW and you decide that at the last second you're going to have the Bucks and put their ability to ever challenge for the tag team titles in line a week before the show.
Well, hey, we came out of nowhere. Vabav says, going to sleep. It was fun talking to you both about wrestling. No worries, Vabav. I hope you have a great night.
Hope to see you again soon, because I saw you last night in the chat on the YouTube side, and I really enjoyed that you have a bunch of questions that you want to know. And Tom, and when I'm here, I'm more than happy to answer whatever questions they are, as long as they don't broach any lines that we don't want to step
No,
over.
we got some good conversation topics out of you, Vabav, but you did post that message about 8 minutes ago, so I'd imagine you've already gone to sleep. This is a difficulty we're having trying to keep up with the chat when we're doing like the podcast style. Megan says, still as regards Southpaw, Daniel Bryan and Jason Jordan were also involved, as was Michael Hayes. I remember Michael Hayes. I remember that. And on our topic of NXT women's division, Megan says, even if you just take the NXT women who've been in a couple of Rumbles, for example, which is a good shout, Io, Dakota, Candice, Tony, Xia Li, Shotzi, Candice, Mercedes, Casey, and Ember. We've mentioned Candice twice, and I respect that. They could do a lot with that on Raw and SmackDown. They definitely could, and they need to pad these rosters out. Let's take the list that you've got there. That's a really good list. It's right there on the screen for us. Let's just take that list. Ed, going from the beginning to the end, trying not to mention Candice twice, Raw or SmackDown for each one.
All right, Io Shirai, Raw. Dakota Kai, SmackDown. Candice LeRae, SmackDown. Toni Storm, Raw. Xia Li, I wouldn't bring her up. I'd leave her down there. Because if you bring her up, you have to bring up Mei Ying. Because her gimmick doesn't work unless you bring everybody up.
Yeah, I think Xia Li's sort of unfinished.
But if you're going to bring Xia Li up, I'm assuming you're bringing all of it up, Raw.
Yeah,
it has to go to Raw. Shotzi, pray she doesn't end up in the hospital, but Raw. Mercedes Martinez, SmackDown. Casey Catanzaro, SmackDown. Ember Moon, Raw.
There's only a few I disagree with there. Mercedes, I wouldn't bring up. She has asked to come back to NXT in the past. I don't feel they have plans for Mercedes. I think she's there to be a gatekeeper, and that's that.
Which is fine. You need those.
Yeah, you need those. Ember Moon for me goes to SmackDown. Pardon me. But yeah, I would probably wait a little while longer for Xia Li. And then, yeah, definitely Raw.
And then, like I said,
ridiculous and the outlandish is Raw all over.
I love Shotzi Blackheart to death, but that woman has done
Well, something's happened there with Ed. I'd imagine basically what he's trying to say is very similar to what I've said in the past about, for example, Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks for me always came across as someone with a bit of a death wish, just a little bit of a death wish, who wrestled in a way that was not careless, not carefree, but without regard for her own personal safety because she wanted to entertain. That's the feeling I've had with a lot of different people, and Shotzi really lends that concept as well. That's how I feel with that at times. Wiggly and Matt are having a bit of a conversation. Let's have a chat about it. Matt says, what do you mean by should be? I feel like there's an assumption that Raw and SmackDown is always an end point for the most talented, but why wouldn't you think that NXT should be the home of top talent? Also, are you just saying that WWE doesn't see the show that way? Wiggly responds by saying, WWE doesn't see NXT as its premier show at all from the way it's stage presented. That is true. Occasionally they throw NXT a bomb by having a main roster star appear, like when Edge appeared or Charlotte, but NXT is pretty much WWE's third brand, and even then a distant third. Why would they want to usurp Raw and SmackDown? They're not trying to make NXT better than Raw and SmackDown. I think that does need saying. They're trying to make it independent and its own brand, but it's clear that the WWE aren't doing that. Triple H and Shawn Michaels are doing that, and they don't have the resources that the WWE have, and the WWE seem unwilling to offer them. Confusing in many, many ways. It made me chuckle, Megan. It made me chuckle. Matt believes there's a lot. This is where a lot of politics come into play. For a time, they wanted it to be out AEW, for example. Right now, USA sees it as a moneymaker, wants it to do as well as possible. Raw and SmackDown doesn't have the ratings it used to either, so we want to manage that first and foremost. Ratings doesn't play into it as much as people seem to think. Right, okay. Right now, the WWE are introducing the competitors in the NXT Breakout Tournament, which I believe is taking place on 205 Live. Essentially what this is quite a few people who are in developmental stages of NXT getting a chance to shine on a TV show that nobody watches. I want to back them. I really do. But it's quite clear that nobody watches 205, and that's where they put them. They seem like a stopgap at the best of times. Also, a lot of people wearing a lot of suits. Intangibles, vicious, powerful, from Nothing. Is there actually a town called Nothing, Arizona? I feel the need to know now. Ikimenjiro. Japanese handsome style. I can get behind that. I always worry at moments like these, and you get it from audiences as well, when they pan over to a member of the audience, that people just aren't going to know what to do. I can't see your eyes, mate. You got a cap on. You've got a cap on. Let's welcome back Ed Fries, who seems to have dealt with his computer issues. Ed.
Sorry about that.
What the hell, man?
I when I moved the computer, I didn't take the power cord with me, and apparently it's on a short sleep cycle. So the computer decided to go to sleep in midpoint.
It's always worth checking because the streaming can be quite intensive.
Yeah.
It's why Football Manager is struggling as much as it is sometimes with technology.
By the way, I don't think all of this is going to be taking place on 205 Live, considering I just saw Joe Gacy in there, and I saw Josh Briggs, and holy Odyssey Jones. He is a big, big man. I can't wait to see what he can do.
Some of it is definitely taking place on 205. I saw advertisement for that.
Oh, yeah, no, it definitely. I mean, you've got Ika Jukamen, and you've got some of these other guys that are definitely 205 Live guys.
Yeah, definitely. Right.
Josh Briggs is a name near and dear to my heart as he's from the Northeast. He wrestles a lot up here. So I'm very excited to see Josh Briggs do very well in this.
They just confirmed first round next week on NXT, Ikimenjiro versus Duke Hudson. NXT don't really use a draw segment the same way, do they?
No.
That was their second hour draw segment.
They don't care.
Yeah, it's clear. Also, to TV ratings, worth pointing out just how many views WWE get on YouTube and social media on demand. Having a dip in TV ratings is really mitigated by that. It is not mitigated by that. I think we need to separate there because WWE's income from advertising comes directly from ratings. But they don't care about it as much as they used to because ultimately they don't get as much money from sponsorship and advertising. True, they get the money from the TV networks instead. They get more money than ever before, so they don't care about the ratings, but the networks do.
To an extent.
So, to an extent, yeah. It's very much a to an extent level. I can't sit here and say ratings are the be all and end all. They were for a time, but those days finished like 10 years ago.
But remember, TV, and I think people take ratings too seriously now in one way, because the reason why they were taken so seriously in the Attitude Era and why the numbers were so high in the Attitude Era is the only way you could not watch something live was if you programmed your VCR to record it, or you had a TiVo, which was very expensive and something that a lot of people didn't have at the time. Yeah. Now, every cable provider, with your basic cable, you get a cloud-based DVR that goes with your TV.
Yeah.
So everybody had to watch. Wrestling was appointment television in the Attitude Era, not so much because of the content of it, which it was.
The content as well, yeah.
But because if you missed it, you didn't see it. If I missed Raw, I had to watch it on Saturday mornings in Spanish.
Okay.
Because USA didn't do replays. So if I missed Raw, that was it.
Definitely not the same now. In the Attitude Era, they did try and make it appointment viewing as much as possible. Although for WCW, that basically just meant the NWO appearing at the end and beating everyone up again. Megan says, to answer your question, Nothing, Arizona is a real place. It's apparently officially a ghost town from what I can tell. I like that. I very much like that. Wiggly says, wasn't it something along the lines of WWE gets about 60 million views on YouTube a week? It differs week to week. I believe at last check, and I keep an eye on this, I believe at last check, they are the 4th most viewed YouTube channel per year, per annum. And looking at the numbers, I think I last checked this in 2019. In that year, they made 13 million from YouTube, roughly, at a cost of less than 100,000. That's an insane turnover and profit from something that only helps them attract viewers. YouTube has been incredibly beneficial. Wiggly also says their finances are pretty much in the black, throw it off in their too fussed. They're really not.
I was going to say, if anybody wants to know more about the financials and to follow more of the financial side of all these stories about pro wrestling, I'm going to talk about somebody that I follow because I enjoy some of that. Brandon Thurston. WrestleNomics is an incredible follow on Twitter. The dude is a very smart man, and he breaks down the money side of a lot of this stuff very well for everybody.
Brandon Thurston is literally the be-all and end-all of wrestling finance. There is no one else who does anything close to what he delivers.
Nope. But he's always on. He doesn't say things unless he can prove it, and he has data to back it up 99 times out of 100. He has picture data of this is what I'm using to get the numbers that I'm saying to give you the analysis I'm giving you.
Yeah, he's very much an analyst, and there is room for that in wrestling. Jake has asked, who do you think is winning this match? Ed, who have you got?
I have the Way.
I also have the Way.
I don't think you're putting a title on on Io Shirai unless you're guaranteed that you're going to keep her, and Vince isn't going to guarantee you're going to keep her, so you get no title until after SummerSlam.
This is a really infuriating thing about NXT at the minute. Vince McMahon does not make clear his decisions. Literally, on the day that they are announcing the call-ups and the draft, he will be actively changing his mind. And this is a fact. This has happened every single draft so far, every single superstar shakeup, everything. Every time this happens, Vince McMahon changes his mind, people swap and change, the list changes. How badly is that going to affect NXT when they know some names, but even then, imagine they have to take the championship off of Karrion Kross right in that takeover at SummerSlam, and then a couple of days later they're told, yeah, we've decided not to keep him. It's a very difficult position for Triple H and Shawn Michaels to be in.
I think you can get away with it with Karrion Kross because I think you can put the title on Johnny Gargano.
That was very much just an example.
No, I know. I think that's the one example. But it's the reason why, I guarantee you, it's the reason why Isaiah Swerve Scott won the North American title last week.
Yeah, that very much comes across. Bronson Reed lost it moderately early. I'd expect them to hang on for a little bit, but I think the change there had the surprise element, so that was a good thing. But also it allowed the WWE to basically say, okay, we want him, or maybe we don't want him, and not be sure. It allowed them that leeway.
They're also nice to know that you can put it on Isaiah Swerve Scott and Hit Row's not going anywhere, because a lot of those guys and gal with BFAB are way not talented enough and ready enough for the main roster.
Hit Row was definitely a name that was mentioned to me when I talked about MVP going down there to scout. But I think one of the reasons that name in particular was mentioned is because a lot of people are always thinking that MVP is about to launch a new nation and is only interested in black talent. It's not the case. MVP is interested in talent in general, but a lot of people do seem to think that he only went down to scout black talent. That isn't the case.
And even if it were the case, I mean, there's so much talent down there that, I mean, just Hit Row, just because they're doing that gimmick and that's the color of their skin, doesn't mean that they're the only ones. I mean, there's a lot of talent down there I'd take if I were MVP.
If you did take Hit Row up, let's say you took Hit Row into Raw, would you actually pair them with MVP? Because I personally would have them stand alone.
Oh, God, no. I wouldn't pair them with MVP in the slightest. They don't fit.
I would do the exact same system, whereas Swerve is the wrestler, everyone else is just his backup and his group while they develop. You can still develop on the main roster. People don't seem to realize that. But a lot of wrestlers have gone up to the main roster, and that's where they're still developing. I look at Keith Lee. I feel he was still developing the WWE style when he got to the main roster.
Almost never had a match until he had a tag team title match.
Yep.
He never wrestled in NXT. He was never in NXT.
The only thing he really had was a couple of scraps with the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. Sorry, the Viking Profits, when he was the Big Ninja. Remember the Big Ninja?
I do. I love the Big Ninja.
The Big Ninja. What a world we live in when the Big Ninja gets over that heavily.
He's having his first singles match, and I can't wait to see how good it's going to be or potentially bad it's going to be this week.
I'm just glad his hand's healed up. It's been several weeks now that his hand's been injured, and we've only just really got to the point at which they're willing to say, okay, let's get him back into action properly.
And I'm glad he's in there with a guy who I consider a good pair of hands. He's in there with Eric. Or to me, I know him as Ray Rowe.
No, I get that. I assumed it would be him on the basis that, going back to the Viking Profits, whenever Eric encountered the Big Ninja, he looked at the guy and said, I can take him. And he never got the chance. Until now.
Long-term storytelling. WWE doesn't do it, though.
I'd imagine they forgot that, to be completely honest, but we are where we are. Jake says, I'm the only one that's not interested in Cole versus O'Reilly. Wrestling-wise, I'd imagine it'll be a great match. Story-wise, I think they were done months ago. Ed, your opinion?
They are. They're biding their time because I think they know that Adam Cole's going up. I think they might be losing Kyle O'Reilly. So I think they're taking advantage of an opportunity while they have it. And if you can main event a show with Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly, you do it because it's good TV.
It was over a year ago now. I spoke about a plan that was in place from the WWE to call up the Undisputed Era and use them. But the members of the Undisputed Era did not all agree to be called up. And it created a bit of an issue. With this in mind, I definitely think what's going to happen is that certain members of the Undisputed Era are called up and certain members are not. I think Red Dragon's going up, basically. I think Red Dragon's going up and Adam Cole and Roderick Strong are staying. I don't think Chugs wants to give up his Twitch.
I think Adam Cole's going to be able to do Twitch on the main roster. And I think he's going up because I think Vince is going to force their hand.
The question I've got there then, isn't Zelina Vega going to be a little bit mad about that?
We have no answers yet on whether or not she has a deal to do Twitch or not. We don't know.
We don't know. That's it.
She may have permission. I can't see her coming back without permission to do Twitch.
We have to, at this point, sit and wait.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, she could pop up on Twitch tomorrow. And it's not There's never anything wrong with sitting and waiting. There's never anything wrong with saying, I don't know, I'll wait and see. Dakota Kai went back to Twitch, at least for a little while, a couple of weeks ago. At least for the one show.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people are feeling a bit more comfortable, but I think Adam Cole, as an example, got his head down and said, I'm going to do Twitch regardless, and wasn't punished for it and thus kept going, whereas others have just kept distance from it. Megan says, Raw being taped will help Omos as well, I reckon. I think that's a very good comment.
Agreed. I was going to bring it up to you once we got done talking about Kyle and Adam. I saw it in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, I think it's a very good comment and a very fair one. They can re-record whatever they require. I'm just hoping, because at this point, this upcoming SmackDown is the end of the Thunderdome.
Mm-hmm.
At least live. Do we know when Raw is being recorded?
Not a clue.
Okay. Because if it's after SmackDown, break everything. I've said it the whole time since I first posted the video saying they're going to retire the Thunderdome. Break everything. Literally, you can record, re-record. You can do your crash zooms. You can have a full explosion. You can even do miniature photography just to pad it out a little bit. You can take the whole building down. Why the hell wouldn't you if you've got that opportunity?
Who has the Falls Count Anywhere match this week on Raw?
Morrison and Ricochet.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, never mind.
I'm
if
like,
it
well,
was
they
Lashley
can do it.
and Lesnar, they just wreck everything.
I was gonna say, I'm like, is it Lashley and like Woods or something? Because if that were the case, like, oh my, that would do it.
Where's Braun Strowman when you need him? Strowman would just run through everything.
He's taking a shower outside with Mojo Rawley last time I saw him. You saw that on Twitter, right?
I didn't, and I'm not going to.
Okay.
I do not want to see that. That was a lovely moonsault. Sometimes I love when someone lands really badly. It's quite fun. Wiggly says, I'm actually going to miss the Thunderdome, to be honest. I think you are the only person in the world.
Nope. Unfortunately, I have to agree with him. Oh, I hurt to say. I am not going to miss not having to hear the what chant. I am not going to miss having to hear the CM Punk chants. And more importantly, I heard this on AEW. Ethan Page was doing a promo, and the full crowd in AEW was chanting, "We can't hear you," because he's a heel and they didn't want to listen to him doing a promo. Great. I'm not going to miss that. That's the stuff I'm going to miss from the Thunderdome. Not having that. Having Roman's whisper promos where he talks like this and can get it across. I'm going to miss those.
I agree.
I'm going to miss Roman's promo.
ASMR Roman is going to be missed heavily. You're right. I think the main problem with fans returning is fans returning.
Yeah. The best thing about fans returning is that we're getting a live crowd. And a live crowd is a wonderful thing in wrestling. The worst part about it is we're getting a live crowd, and wrestling crowds are the most awful thing about a wrestling show.
I do think, I think I've said this one for a while. There's going to be a beach ball next Friday. Mm-hmm. There's going to be at least one beach ball. I hope Cesaro wrecks it again. Just runs out into the crowd and destroys it. I don't think he's technically allowed to, though. Sure, the Thunderdome wasn't ideal, but it helped the fans stay connected. Much as I'm applauding the return of live crowds, we won't forget the Thunderdome in a hurry. That is very, very true. Willie also says Thunderdome was great for accessibility and getting more fans in live. 99%. We have a return. I dare say it's a woman.
You're a little bit ahead of me because I have to watch on an alternative feed.
I think I may have been ahead of you for a couple of weeks now, to be completely honest with you, mate.
Are we going to have a feud now, too?
Once you've caught up.
It's fine. Oh, there we go. I'm finally getting the black ring.
Right.
Just to tell you how far behind I am.
You are a little behind. I may have to keep running on this one.
No, you're fine. Keep going. I'm assuming it's Tegan Knox. There she is.
So we both called this one wrong. Now, what I meant when I said I think I was a little bit ahead of you was that a while ago we were asked who was the battery charger, and I said Tegan Knox because I already knew it was Tegan Knox.
Okay.
I didn't know formally. I only had one source on it. And now she's back. She's causing some havoc. I would imagine, you'll know better than me, was it Candice LeRae who injured her?
It was. Shockingly.
Should have seen this coming.
Yep. I thought they'd immediately... Oh, that's what we were wrong about. Interesting.
We were both very confident that it was Tegan Knox. And yet, didn't connect that with the fact that Candice LeRae was wrestling that night.
I had it pegged that it was going to be Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez that she'd come after.
It wasn't.
Nope. And this is a feud I can be in for too, by the way.
Yeah.
Tegan Knox versus Candice LeRae. I'll take it.
My worry with Tegan Knox is that she keeps getting injured just as she starts getting pushed.
Mm-hmm. She's going to end up like Samoa Joe. She's going to end up like a couple other people like that.
Omega says, howdy, welcome Omega to the show. Welcome to it. Okay, I get what you're saying there, Wiggly. I think that's a very fair comment. I'll give you some context on this, Ed.
Okay.
With football, given issues we've seen with certain fans, I'm not entirely happy seeing them return. Right, so if you're not aware, for the last year, a full season in football, a full year, every Premier League football match has started with every player taking the knee in support of Black Lives Matter. There was no fans. Now fans have returned. Every football match begins with a chorus of boos at the players taking the knee. And it's disgusting.
The boos or the fans taking, or the players taking the knee?
The boos.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure we're on the same. American football dealt with this a year or two earlier with the Colin Kaepernick situation, where he was taking a knee during the national anthem, and that was apparently the biggest crime in the world because not because he was disrespecting the anthem, but for some reason taking a knee is somehow disrespectful.
That was one of the reasons they took the knee in unison. It basically meant that everyone on the pitch was taking a knee, apart from the refs. The referee never took a knee because they were timekeeping.
That's fine.
It was essentially their job to make sure that everyone took the knee and not just most people, and then everyone else tried to run at them. It's baffling. It's baffling. Megan says, I can't seem to find where it started, but there seems to be a theory on Twitter that next week's Raw will be taped tomorrow for some reason. I don't see any reason why not. It makes sense.
Makes sense. They have the building. Might as well.
Yeah. It'd be disappointing if they break things and then have to record a live SmackDown there, though. That's the issue I've got with that as a concept. Omega's just very happy to see Tegan back. Just very happy to see Tegan back. And Wiggly says, just imagine if England reached the final and take the knee, you'll have patriotic fans booing the lads ahead of the biggest game of their lives. Yep. Absolutely. Thank you, Megan. Megan says, I'll keep looking to see if I can find something more concrete. Thank you very much. This is one of the most wonderful things about this here chat. We all work together to make sure we've all got the right information. Magnificent. Oh. You are muted.
Sorry about that. I said, isn't it great to be the person who runs one of the most organized chats in the world, where people are bringing you news from around the wrestling world, and you can go, okay, we can give this credence because we have this, and this source, because we all bring sources to our stories.
We do. We're a newsroom. We are genuinely a newsroom.
So does that make you Jeff Daniels?
Basically.
And then what does that make me then? Does that make me the lady? Or can I be the old guy who drinks a lot of the alcohol?
I'd definitely go for Sam. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd definitely go that way.
Okay.
Because ultimately we have those conversations, don't we?
We do. So for everybody who doesn't know, me and Tom will have DM Twitter chats at all hours of the day, where all of a sudden I'll be like, Tom, you really need to go to bed, because it's late for me, and Tom's randomly DMing me ideas.
But they're such bad ideas.
But they're so wonderful too.
How reliable is TPWW? I don't know who TPWW are, Megan. Would you be able to give me any more information on that? They are saying the Thunderdome taping is happening tonight.
That I think is interesting. I wouldn't necessarily believe that. Again, WWE might do it back to back with an NXT show. I wouldn't see it. I wouldn't.
See, if they were going to do it, I would imagine they would have done it last night when everyone was already there. That's just how I see it personally.
But maybe they don't want to do a 3-hour taping after a live show where they have people there till 11 o'clock already.
Fair. Interesting. But yeah, I do not know who TPWW are. So if we can get more information on that, that would be great. And Wiggly says, if you're good at magic tricks, you could be more of a Paul Daniels. The People's Wrestling website. I want to be clear, be very clear on what we're saying here. Are they saying that the recording is happening tonight, or are they aggregating and someone else is saying that they're reporting tonight, that they are recording tonight? Because if they are personally reporting it, I give it zero credence. I'm just going to be really blunt here and give it zero credence. I'm not aware of any of their journalists. I've never worked with any of them. I don't know any news that they've ever reported. And I follow this really keenly. So if they're re-reporting it from somewhere else, then we need to look at who else is reporting it. Megan said they are the ones reporting it. I've never heard of them before tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking at the story right now.
Right. Okay. So here's what we generally do in the world of journalism when we have this. This is the only information that we have. So we have to lend it some credence. However, we will not assume it to be true because we've only got one source and it's not a proven reliable source. And it's, of course, not a first-hand source. So basically, the way I usually work it is you look at how first-hand the source is, and then that's how many counts you do. So for this would be at least third-hand, so you need at least 3 sources for it. Wiggly has just made it pretty much guaranteed that it is not to be true because Wiggly says Ringside News are reporting it too. About a month ago, give or take a few days, I think it was a bit less than a month ago, I put on Twitter the following. Sonya Deville is training for an in-ring return. A couple of days later, what pops up on Ringside News but an exclusive, guess who's training for an in-ring return?
Was it Zelina Vega?
It may or may not have been Sonya Deville. Toni Storm is talking. She's got a promo ongoing.
Is she talking about Saray?
I can't hear.
Okay. I'm going to guess she's talking about Saray because last week Saray went to Mr. Regal's office and asked for a match, and he said, I can try to find you somebody. And she said, well, what about somebody like Toni Storm?
Cool. Toni Storm seems to be doing favors on her way out, which is a good way of doing it. I always respect that. J-Dub says, just got here. Welcome, J-Dub. Seems very serious. It is very, very serious. We're taking this very, very seriously. Just so everyone is fully aware, we're taking this very, very seriously. We're trying to find out when Raw's show for next week is being recorded, and we're not able to find the details. I can't sit here. Hello, Dexter. I can't sit here and go research and the like because I'm hosting a show. But the beauty of having multiple people doing it is that Ed can do research on that side. Megan is actively doing research as we speak. Any other report I'm finding on the Raw taping just says this week. I'm going to wait for at least one of the heavy hitters to jump in on this one. That's what I'm personally going to wait for.
If we're getting a report on it and it's recording tonight, that means tomorrow morning we'll have reviews and we'll have spoilers.
Yes, that's a good point.
If we see SRS with a report of this is what happened on Raw, then we know it was recorded last night. Yeah, if we don't, I guarantee you it wasn't.
I think it's also very worth pointing out that where was I going with this? Yeah, that it's very possible that the WWE themselves have not actually planned when they're going to record yet. I think it's very, very possible that they simply haven't planned it formally as of yet, and they are waiting for a couple of days to iron out the kinks and work out the script. It may be that this week is the only information that anybody has because that's the only information that the talent have. But if it was a case that usually, so the talent have an app on their phone, and the app updates with information as to, okay, we need you to be here at this time. Typically, someone will get that message and they will then take a screenshot and send it on to a journalist.
Can you put up J-Top's message, please?
I'm going to.
Okay,
I'm going
sorry.
to. I just wanted to wrap this particular piece up first.
Sorry.
I just wanted to wrap this particular piece up first. So they will get a message on their app saying, you need to be here at this time. WWE basically will only give them 2 or 3 days notice. If there is no information out there yet, I don't believe that there is any information out there at all. Matt says, do you have a Sherlock hat for a theme change? I do not. Just a parrot hat. Just a parrot hat. And I don't believe Ed has a parrot hat. So I don't believe Ed can fit the theme changes. You have a Christmas jumper. And J-Dub says, MJF's cousin's best friend says the Raw taping is tonight. Proven fact. We now know for certain. And Megan says it wouldn't surprise me if it was recorded right now while the audience is focused on NXT. Whether it would surprise or not, it's one of those. It's either happening or not. And as Ed says, we'll find out very shortly if it did happen. But I think it's more likely it's more likely we'll find out in a couple of days, oh, it's being recorded now. It's one of those. I don't set too much store by it, If you're currently watching on YouTube, please do remember that you can click like on the video. That's a big help to me, my personal growth, and the growth of the channel. At last check, and I will check again with a quick refresh to get the exact data that I know you're all craving. We are currently sitting at 598 subscribers. 2 more to hit that big 600. And that means over the last 2 days, we've gained 8 subscribers, which is tremendous. Thank you everyone who subscribed and everyone who watches. Matt just says MJF is a known sus. He's not wrong. Jacob says, if I end up seeing spoilers, I probably won't watch, so I'll be avoiding at all costs. Damn you, MJF's cousin's best friend. Damn them. Damn them. It's one of those. Sometimes the information just isn't out there yet. But I do love the fact that we can do the research here. We can go out there and find the exact specifics. We do share sources here. When we first started, there were several times when I did have to say to someone, oh, but who's the source on that? Can you source that for me? In fact, I think that's become a bit of a catchphrase. Can you source that for me? I think that's going to end up on a t-shirt at some point.
I can't wait for t-shirts for this channel. It's going to be great.
We're nowhere near big enough yet. And I don't know. There's plenty of people here right now. Obviously, there's yourself, Ed. If we were going to have a t-shirt, and it's not a Collar Hue t-shirt, it's an Us t-shirt, what would you want to put on it?
Bad Vince.
Oh, you were ready for that one. You were fully ready. The Bad Vince, yeah. That works for me. We could do it a similar design to Doctor Who. Are you aware of Doctor
Summoners? We could. Oh, I'm a huge Whovian.
So you know what I mean by Bad Wolf.
Oh yeah.
We could do it a similar style, but with a Bad Vince.
We could. I'll still take Bad Wolf over Bad Vince, though. I love me some Billy Piper. I was thinking about that one, too. That was my second choice.
I think the first line of we refuse to apologize for Shane McMahon, even though we are entirely guilty for Shane McMahon. I'd leave it to, I do not apologize for Shane McMahon. That works for me.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be something Shane-based, hasn't it?
Or, like I said, or the bad Vince has taken over.
Bad Vince has taken over. That's a good point.
Like, the Shane summoning was great when Shane was on TV and we were able to actually summon him. Yeah. And it was hysterical that we were doing it. That being said, now that he's gone from TV, it's gone away a little bit. But Bad Vince is still here.
Bad Vince is still here, and I'd imagine he will die in the chair. He'll be here forever. The thing is, that works at a wrestling show as well, doesn't it?
We could also have a Nubinko says and just have the words blank, 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 Asuka. I love noob, but
Something Asuka. Something
something
fuck you,
Asuka.
Vince.
Something Asuka, I think would be great.
There is a wrestler local to me called Rossi Rascal. He runs a judo school. So there's always a load of kids from his school there whenever he's at a show.
Mm.
And a friend that I go to the shows with, we take the piss out of everything. We take the piss out of every goddamn thing. That's what we do. So there's a sign out there that says Rossi Rascal something judo. We don't know what the something is, but it's now become Rossi Rascal something judo. And we chant it. And we just go nuts. Because I work for PCW now, I'll be meeting Rossi Rascal soon, and I'll be asking him about his something judo. And what is his judo? Is it just something? I need to know. I need to know.
I can't wait to start learning more about PCW with all the. Like I said, I really think you should be doing in like pieces leading up to the return. You should be trying to get some of the talent, especially top down.
I am trying to.
Okay, I wasn't sure if PCW was giving you nothing back or what.
No, the boss is very forthright. We have a good back and forth. The issue is he's just had COVID.
Oh.
And he's been in hospital with it. It's a bad case.
Hopefully he recovers well, and big ups to
hopefully
the boss.
So, man. Yeah. So it's not been an ideal time. Plus, we were supposed to be coming back a little bit earlier, but then they shut the world for another month or so. Mm-hmm. Crazy. That Matt celebrating Swerve a Beyblades reference. Watched that on Smosh recently. That's my only expertise in Beyblades. Jada says, God, I like Hit Row, but they've been singing and rapping for 10 minutes enough already. Probably a good thing I wasn't really paying attention to it. Wiggly saying, I love Asuka too. You do, and that's why you are one of many nemesis that Ed has. Jada says, MLF's cousin's best friend says he'll be rapping until 9:55 EST. So when we come back from the commercial break, we'll find out if it's true. And Wiggly also says, I do judo. So is it Rossi Rascal Wiggly judo? Does he do Wiggly judo?
Maybe he does Professor Judo. Rossi Wrestling Professor Judo. My sources confirm that Hero needs to stop her.
See, this is beautiful. This is what I like about this show. We can just take the piss out of wrestlers, wrestling sources. We can take the piss out of pretty much everything we want. That's what we do here. We mock the world. Wiggly says, I chat a lot about judo with Hikaru Shida on her YouTube streams. Moving on. Jacob says, Tom, you look like you fluffed your hair for tonight's Great American Bash, and I just washed it about 3 hours ago, and now it's stuck like this. It was a late wash.
Come on, Tom. Just baldy bros.
Absolutely not. Look at this glorious hair. Look how much of it there is.
Just wait till you come visit me in Boston.
Yeah. Now that's never happening, and that's entirely your own fault. J-Dub has forbidden us from talking about Asuka tonight. Forbidden us. Absolutely forbidden from talking about the Empress of Tomorrow. We cannot mention the longest reigning women's champion in NXT. We can't do it. Shut the fuck up, Wiggly. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. How dare you? Also, kind of note, I have more forehead than I expected, but it's not actually receding yet. Still a very healthy head of hair.
Mine's receding. I've got the
Vegeta thing going.
Head. I do love me some Vegeta, though. He's my favorite Dragon Ball Z character. I have about 7 Funko Pops of Vegeta. So
wow. At some point, you'll have to show them off.
Some point.
At some point. We are coming up to the last 20, 25 minutes of NXT. At this point, it's very much just the joy of having Adam Cole wrestling Kyle O'Reilly. If you're a wrestling fan, you know this is going to be everything you need. Megan jumping in and saying, the joy of being a woman. I never have to worry about my hairline, and a whole lot of laughing.
You keep thinking that.
Whole lot of laughing.
See, I hope she never has to worry about her hairline, but I know women that do.
Here's the thing, right? This is a very different watch along to Raw and SmackDown.
Oh, God, yes.
Firstly, because it's got that podcast element. I'm asking you questions. We're discussing the different topics. This, by the way, is why I'm saying like 1 or 2 people, fine. I couldn't do what Love Wrestling do and have 4 people at once. I couldn't do it. Imagine, if you will, do you know the end of Raw last night when I was being bombarded with questions and talking points, and I was trying to control a chat that was getting absolutely mental? I don't think I'd have been able to include you if we were doing this there. But at the same time, we go off the fucking rails here, and we talk about receding hairlines. We forbid ourselves from talking about the Empress of Tomorrow. We literally do everything but talk about the fact that we're about to have Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. We just completely wander off topic, and it is so fun. This is why I love Twitch so much. This is why I love Twitch so much. You guys come in and you say, okay, now we're talking about this. This is what I need. I've got hijack for favorite wrestler. I need to derail the conversation. I need a literal change the topic. That's what I need. So you can spend your channel points to just decide that we're talking about something completely different. That's what I need.
You could call it now for something completely different as a Monty Python reference.
Yeah, I'm British. I respect the Python.
Everybody respects the Python.
Yeah. Megan says they're planning having a majestic head of hair for the rest of time. So, like, for the next 56 billion years? I unfortunately have some bad news for you. Megan,
no, Wade Barrett's on
got
TV.
Some bad news. Is he? Samoa Joe's on TV.
Well, I'm assuming he's not on my TV now, but he's in NXT.
He's in NXT. Megan says, can we talk about Marvel? Yeah, you can talk about whatever the hell you want. I mean, look, I'm literally wearing a Marvel.
I am waking up in... Trying to do quick maths here. Hold on. 5 hours and 20 minutes. I will be waking up to watch the episode of Loki with my buddy in Discord as it drops at 3 a.m. As we do every week and have done for every episode of every Disney Plus show.
I will not be doing that. Starting next week, they've just announced we will have Karrion Kross versus Johnny Gargano with a special guest referee, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe getting very, very involved in this one. J-Dub says the icing on the cake is if I have a new source, MJF's cousin's best friend. To be fair, you're the source there, J-Dub, because I don't have that hookup. You do. You're bringing it. You're bringing all the info.
I'm just
You're
upset.
An insider now. You're an insider, J-Dub.
I'm just upset that we can't get the guy that Triple H was talking about, whose best friend Mark was going to stop watching wrestling. And then after that promo, everybody stopped watching live WWE wrestling.
Yeah, it's almost like talking down to your audience is a bad move. Megan is just celebrating the celebration. Yes to the Monty Python. Agreed. Screaming Loki. Agreed. Basically, this just, we all like the same things in so many good ways.
Now, Tom, I have a question for you. Now that you have a new gig again,
yeah,
and you have some income, are you going to go to the cinema? And I'm assuming for you it would probably be Cineworld or something like that. Or are you going to watch? Or are you going to watch on Disney Plus and pay the $30 to own Black Widow?
I'll probably go for the cinema.
Okay. I am going opening night. My buddy and I have tickets to the Dolby Digital because my friend's a prima donna. My friend's a freaking prima donna and he needs to have like the ultra experience. And I'm like, can't we just go to Chunky's, the place that has like the restaurant bar menu and you sit in a Cadillac chair and you just I get you. I've been to America. I know. They went to a junkyard and all of their cinemas all have these old school Cadillac chairs. And they have these big, long, black buffet tables. And you sit down and they bring you a menu and you have a little buzzer and everything. And you order a full restaurant menu. Beer, wine, the whole nine. And watch a movie. And he's like, no, we need to go to the movie theater and do the whole like Dolby. And I'm like, why?
I would rather go to the cinema for several reasons. Firstly, I just want to get back to the cinema. Mm-hmm. And a large part of this is that I actually really enjoy going on my own. Now, this originated as on the basis of the fact that I didn't really have anyone to go with. And at some point, I realized, I'm old enough now. I can just go on my own. And it's ended up being one of my favorite things. Especially considering one of the first films I went to watch on my own was A Quiet Place. And there was like 4 people in the entire cinema. And I'm just sat far, far away from everyone in silence, watching a silent film. Great times. But in addition to that, I didn't pay for Mulan either until it became free as part of Disney Plus. Because, all of the reasons that you shouldn't pay for Mulan.
I'm just wondering about those people who are going to be like, is $30 worth it to get a month of unlimited watching before it ends up free on Disney Plus in like October?
Be October?
I want to say,
I want to.
Is it 6 months? I don't know.
Mulan was 6 months. I don't know outside of that.
No, Mulan was 1 month, wasn't it? But that was in the height of the pandemic. I thought it dropped in November, and I thought it dropped on Disney Plus for free for all in December. But I could be wrong.
Huh.
I could be wrong. But either way.
Yep. Wiggly says, I'm having a bit of hair thinning, but I've grown it very long and brush it back like the Fonz rather than spike it like Sergio Aguero used to. I am very intrigued as to what the hell that looks like, mate. Really am. All says, oh, Tom, you got a new job? Great. Yeah, I got a 3-month temporary job starting on the 12th of July, so in just 5 days. It's only 3 months, but it pays my bills. It'll get me back to the gym. It'll give me a reason to go out, and leave the house every now and then. So I'm looking forward to just having a bit more purpose, Meanwhile, because of the way the job works, I'll still be able to do all of the streams. So we can still grow here on YouTube and on Twitch, and we can still have ridiculous conversations like these. These are the shows I really want, where we just talk shit for a while. Great. Also says, I got scammed out of some money. I'll tell you privately. Yeah, I'll catch up tomorrow on that one. Bloody hell, there's a lot of movement all of a sudden. Omega says, I love going to the theaters on my own. There's something about it. There is. It's a completely different experience. Completely different one. And I really enjoy that. Wiggly says, I preferred the cartoon version of Mulan. It was much, much better. Did you notice Ming Na Wen? Yes, I did. I will not be hungover, Wiggly. I don't care about the fact that there's football the day before. I don't care if we win. I'm not going to be hungover. I'm not a big drinker. What is it I'm doing? I'll essentially be doing a lot of phone calls, but I won't be giving any more details than that. J-Dub just says, congrats on the job. Thank you very much, J-Dub. It's been needed. It'll level me out a bit.
And again, sorry if I'm too open about it, but you said it today on the football stream, so I assumed it was public knowledge.
Yeah, you're fine.
Tom's like, yeah, he's fine for now, but I'm never going to talk to him again.
It's one of those, everything's fine to talk about. Even the tweet from earlier, it's fine to talk about. I just want to make a big joke out of it later. I want to take the piss out of Nick Barbati as much as I can.
So would you and Nick ever try to talk to Wade about doing the recording version of Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure on your own Twitch channel or a Twitch channel run by PW Torch?
We would not be able to do so because of the agreement with the podcast service that provides the podcasts.
Okay.
So it's not an option. But it's certainly, Nick and I have spoken about the idea of spending more time on these channels. If things really work out, that would pay for Nick as well, let's be fair.
I was going to say, I'm very excited to the idea to have a couple other people on the channel, like I'm looking forward to being on here more and talking crap with you and talking about whatever wrestling we can. And I think a fun thing to do would be to do, like I said, the night, like Lucha Underground. You're like, what could be the purpose of me watching Lucha Underground with people? I'd be like, because Lucha Underground is insane. And that could be fun.
But this is the thing. I always want to make sure, like, it's the Tom Colligue channel. It needs to have me on it. But I don't have that much time. These streams really take a lot of planning.
I know.
Particularly spoiler warning and that. So at some point, it may be a time when, like, you have a show yourself. Like, you're getting better and better at this. You're getting more and more comfortable with this. At some point, you might get your own guest and go from there. It might be a show with you and Nick, for example. Or Nick might have a show. I'd like to branch out and do variety like that. But I'm not going to not pay people for it. I'm not going to do that. I don't believe in pay by exposure. I don't believe in that. And at the same time, I even see it in the chat right here. We have a lot of very, very creative people in this chat.
We do.
A lot of creative people. A lot of people who've said to me, I'd love to jump on. There is a lot of trust involved in this. A lot of trust. Now, in no way am I sitting here saying I can't trust you guys, but I'd be giving you passwords to things that could literally end my career. Like that. It would be that simple. And any money I've made so far, completely written off. The last 6 months, gone. I have to think. Ed, you're here for a reason. We've got there. But that took a little convincing, didn't
it? And honestly, to be fair, just so we can be 100% transparent here, I have zero passwords to anything Tom related. To do a show like this, I get a link. So yeah, I was gonna say like, and I'm fine with that. I don't want to run my own show on Tom Collahue. Like I will, if it was going to be the difference between you living somewhere where you couldn't stream and needing to find you ways to continue the Tom Collahue stream, I would have done that in your honor to try to continue the community and to continue everything that's going on to keep you in the public opinion, in the public eye, and to keep all of our fans the way it should be as this family that we have. But now we don't have to worry about that. So now it's back to letting Tom run the channel. I jump in when necessary. And otherwise, I sit in the Twitch chat and give him and everybody else shit.
And to be fair, you cover a lot on Love Wrestling as well.
I do.
Tell us more about that.
So right now, I'm kind of like a fill-in. After having been on Quizplex and being in all their chats after we rated them one time, and I found
them quite a few times.
No, but the first time we rated them, I started going to all of their streams.
Yeah,
we rated them that once, and I started going to all their streams, and I found a really good group of guys. And having been in all their streams, they invited me on to be a part of Quizplex, to which I won. To defend the honor of the Tom Collahue Twitch channel, I won. Now, my score is no longer the highest score in Quizplex history, thanks to a Miss Veda Scott, who
you should be ashamed of yourself.
Who I'm terrified of.
Well, you should be.
She is wonderful and delightful, and I'm terrified because she's one of my favorite female independent wrestlers and has been since I saw her for the first time in Ring of Honor years ago. But anyways, moving on from Quizplex, I started jumping into their back end and was like, hey, if you ever need a fill-in, because they started missing some reaction shows, I'm like, I wouldn't mind doing a react show here and there if the only reason you're not doing these shows is because you have nobody to do them. And so we started talking about that, and they invited me into their back end, and I've been part of. Wow, that came out wrong. That's going to get clipped, if by not me, then by somebody else.
Carry on. So you've been invited into their back end.
Yeah, I have.
And did you take up that offer?
I did, and I'm part of the Slack chat now. So but it's interesting to see all the things that are happening before they happen and getting the
back end is Slack. Sorry, as you were.
I love how we're doing all of this instead of watching this amazing Adam Cole Kyle O'Reilly match. By the way, yes, I'm part of a clip now. Instead of making the clips, I'm part of one. That's going on Twitter.
As you
Sorry.
were.
Anyways, so as part of the Slack community, and trying to figure out what their shows are and whatnot, I've gotten an inside information to see just how much work you put in by yourself, considering they have 20 people as part of their community to run that channel. And I bow down to you that you can do all of this on your own. But basically, I fill in wherever needed over there.
I got to be completely honest. I wing it a lot of the time, but that's by necessity. The beauty of watch-alongs is that the content's there.
Mm-hmm.
If I run out of something to talk about, oh, look, here's an Adam Cole Kyle O'Reilly match. Spoiler warning, that takes up a lot of time. The gaming streams take up a lot of time. You spend a lot of time thinking, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, and I need to do it before there. And the Football Manager streams, They're going to be a bit different because I can't go forward as quickly as I usually do because I'm working 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Football Manager. I can work on one laptop, Football Manager on another. That's all I'm saying.
Let's just pray and hope that your new bosses aren't watching your new Twitch channel.
Fair. Megan says Cruella was released on May 28th and will be free on Disney Plus from August 27th. So by that logic, Black Widow should be free on Disney in early October. So yeah, that's a 3-month gap. That's a 3 month. How long a gap is that? That's a 3 month, isn't it? That's 3 months gap.
About that, yeah.
I watched Cruella. I did not enjoy it very much.
Really?
I like bad guys. Stop watering down my bad guys. Stop taking an iconic bad guy and saying, oh no, it's that guy instead who's a bad guy. Because at some point, the other bad guys now being introduced will get their own film. And it turns out they're not so bad after all. Cruella wanted to skin Dalmatians. Why is she now not killing Dalmatians? I don't understand it.
I don't want to get too much into the film, but I do want to know how the ending of the film goes from where it ends to her skinning Dalmatians. I really want to know the in-between because there's a piece missing. There's a piece missing. Yeah, there's a piece missing.
Retconned it. Right, let me do a bit more catch up. You shut your mouth, J-Dub. Nobody needs to know about that. Wiggly says, if you have time, you should watch a film called 66 No Prizes, forgetting what it's about, but it's pretty funny, actually. I'm not going to watch that. I'm not as into football as you are, Wiggly. I need you to know that. I need football? You to know that.
Like, the NFL, right? Football?
No, actual football, as in your foot and a ball, not as in you're running with a ball and pretending your feet are involved.
You mean soccer?
Football.
Soccer.
We invented football and we invented you, so shut up. Wiggly says, I just want Cobra Kai season 4 right now. Haven't watched Cobra Kai, gotta be honest.
Haven't either. I'm not a what the hell was the series? Karate Kid fan. I was a young kid, didn't really get it.
J-Dub says, MJF's cousin's best friend, this is going to be a thing now, says Adam Cole's tights are a homage to Money in the Bank with the colours. Green and gold, I see it. He's letting us know something. Wiggly says, oh, I thought you were big on football. I am. You're insanely big on football. I'm nowhere near your level, mate. I like football. That's it.
Just so MJF's cousin's best friend knows, just because of that, I want to make sure that person is aware. These are also the same trunks that Adam Cole's been wearing since his feud with Pat McAfee.
So Pat McAfee is sending us a hint about Money in the Bank.
Maybe. MJF at Money in the Bank confirmed, right? That's how Wrestle Talk does it, right?
Take one random idea. Cousin's best friend, okay? You've got to go with the actual facts. Cousin's best friend.
Why? They don't?
I'm saying nothing on that one.
I'll say it.
Megan says, football, the US version is just rugby with padding from what I've seen. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Imagine the NFL, but with no padding. We have a sport like that. It's called rugby. A lot of blood involved. Megan also says that's Disney for you, which is why I'm a little worried about the Marvel Blade film. The original Blade film was okay, but doesn't really stand the test of time. I'm interested to see what new they can do with it.
They name-dropped Blade this last week on Loki.
I wouldn't know that. I haven't seen it yet.
That's fine. It's not a huge spoiler. There's just a scene where Morbius is talking to a couple people.
Stop sharing extra spoiler.
Wow, there's a huge spoiler that Morbius was talking to people.
Yes, huge. I don't like it when people talk. Wow, I do need to catch up with that at some point. And what else we got? Yeah, J-Dub. Following on with it, MJF's cousin's best friend says Adam Cole is winning Money in the Bank. Don't worry about the fact he's not currently in it. Okay, I won't worry. I absolutely will not worry.
I mean, he could be on SmackDown.
He could. That's true.
I was just going to tell you that because that's not really all that important to the story.
All of you.
Tom, I love how you have a show called Spoiler Warning.
Shut up.
But you hate spoilers.
To be clear, Spoiler Warning is just a funny name.
Is it so funny now?
And I think everyone agrees with it. It's just
it's
a
great.
funny name.
It's fantastic.
And now you're just ruining my day.
I love how we're giving you the smallest important details about that episode. We're giving you like the tiniest bit of the crazy stuff.
So now you're telling me how big it is. Like I don't know how big it is.
Oh, Tom, we all know how big it is.
We all know how big it is. We've all seen it.
Except you.
There. I'm protecting you. And when I start my second news show, which will of course be a part of Fridays and spoiler warning, I'll give a spoiler warning for that as well. It'll come with a definite disclaimer. And you know what I'm talking about. Nobody else does yet. But you know it is the most stupid idea I've ever had. And I cannot wait to get started.
My mother was so confused as I was driving home from Walmart, reading those messages and going, oh my God, what the hell is he thinking about? It is the dumbest, funniest idea in the world.
You will be introduced to that next Friday. So when fans return to WWE, I will be debuting something new on Friday's spoiler warning. It will be a TV show thing, 5 to 7 minutes. It's going to be heavily scripted. I have to actually put a lot of work into this. But once I've started it, you guys might be able to provide a lot of help in that regard as well. Megan says, I can't see Disney wanting to do another blood-soaked rave opening to the film, nor have the level of swearing and blood in the Snipes films. I agree. Blade was an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
They certainly went ultra-violent in like the RoboCop style. They went ultra-violent hard, and I liked that. It added a lot to the overall system because vampires weren't ever like shown as being ultra-violent. There was a romance to the vampires. Dracula was this really soft-moving convincer. He manipulated. He played people. You look at
Interview with a Vampire.
Thank you. Yes, that is exactly where I was going with this, where they were trying to break down this individual character and show you their own personal struggles, the dark gift and the like. I've read a lot of the Anne Rice books, and it's constantly referred to as the dark gift. I always find it really confusing that they originally cast the person who played Lestat in Queen of the Damned as Aragorn for Lord of the Rings. Same guy, Stuart Townsend, for both roles. It does not make sense to me. But I do feel Disney can't do that. I was very impressed with the ending. I won't go into what the ending was, but I was very impressed with the ending of Rogue One because I didn't feel Disney would be confident enough to do that. I have not seen the RoboCop remake. The original RoboCop I remember very well, actually. The first 3, at least.
Yeah. He also appeared in WCW.
He did. He rescued Sting.
From a cage that the door was already falling off of, but forget that.
Forget that.
That's not important.
Yeah. Pretty sure that was the same cage used in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Probably.
Wiggly says RoboCop 2 and 3 were awful. 3, yes. 2, no. 2 I thought was a really good one. Because of how it dealt with addiction, I feel it was actually a much better telling of RoboCop than the original. But that's just my personal opinion. Ed, what's your experience of RoboCop?
It's fun. I was never into it, so I've not seen the movies from start to finish. The pieces I've seen are interesting, but yeah.
When I say ultra violence, I really do mean it. They really embrace the violent style. I completely forgot that NXT has a run on.
Oh yeah.
I completely forgot.
Yeah, we'll get about 5 minutes more probably.
Fair enough. I don't know if this match has been good or not. I haven't been watching it.
I was going to say, I don't know.
This is the issue that you've got. You want to do these NXT watch parties. Whenever we do them, we don't watch NXT.
But are we having fun? Are we keeping the viewers entertained?
People seem to be happy enough.
Then we're doing our job.
Are you not entertained?
I am.
Nothing yet.
You got to wait 30 seconds.
Nothing's happening. I don't think people are entertained.
Well, we should just shut it all down. Shut the whole channel down. Tell Oliver he can't be Daddy Oliver anymore.
There you go. I prefer to think of him as Sugar.
Speaking of Oliver, I miss Oliver. I haven't seen him in the chats in a couple days.
He comes in when he comes in.
I know.
It's one of those. We have so many people who dip in and dip out, and that's absolutely fine. I really like that. Especially like we got the big party tomorrow, so we'll see who comes in for that one.
I'm very excited for that.
I have no idea what to do. I'm still planning, but I have no idea what to really do. But I think at this point, like if people come in, then we'll have more than enough people to provide a show.
Indeed.
When I say tomorrow, I mean after I've been to sleep. I still think of today as the 6th and tomorrow as the 7th.
Because we all should sing happy birthday to Tom right now.
Absolutely not.
We should.
Megan says, I haven't seen RoboCop, so I can't say anything about them. That surprises me, Megan, to be completely honest. I think you would really enjoy them, at least the first and the second. Party starts at 10 p.m. UK time. That is 5 p.m. EST, so right after the football. Right after the football. Or, in fact, possibly if we've not won the football, during the football. But
now, Tom, are you doing your stream tomorrow on StreamYard or OBS?
I'm planning to do it on StreamYard so that I can leave the link open for people. No, Wiggly, if it goes to penalties, I'll still be going live at 10 p.m. Yeah, so the plan is to... The Scott has arrived.
I'm with you, Megan, but only solely for the fact that I'm, feuding with Wigglytuff right now.
Yeah, the plan is that I will be able to share the StreamYard link so that people can join the show, at least briefly, to give their messages, to quickly jump in on a chat and have a quick topic. I'll come up with some really basic questions just to get to know people a little bit, and then the chat can ask whatever questions they want as well. So it'll be a bit of a trial by fire for a few people, I feel, but I think that'll be fun.
It's a safe way to do it.
I think so. And of course, I always have the ability to click off people if they come up with something that I definitely don't want to be said.
Like if I were to sit here and say that Jackson Riker is entertaining in the ring and needs to be on more television time, you could just make...
Now, obviously, the situation that we've got there is that someone said something that I personally do not want representing the Tom Colohue channel. So just to be absolutely transparent for everyone, I want everyone to know Ed Fries does not speak for the Tom Colohue channel or the Tom Colohue brand. I apologize for everything that was mentioned there, and I just hope that you can forgive me and continue to join this chat.
All right. Like something like that, right? That works.
Yeah, that worked.
I'm like, what's the safest thing that I can say that Tom's going to definitely kick me out for? And I'm like, boom, Riker.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Because it's not going to get you kicked off the channel. It's not going to get you in any trouble, but it's definitely something you'd boot me out for.
Yeah. The biggest concern, basically, if I'm on Twitch, I will get banned from Twitch if there is any nudity. So if someone literally comes on and they've got a picture on their phone of someone topless, I'm banned from Twitch. That's it. So I can't take risks. I absolutely can't.
I got you.
So we're going to give it a try tomorrow. Not everyone will get the opportunity. Depends how long they've been here, how much they've engaged and stuff. But if you've got something you want to say, we'll give you the link. You can jump in and say it.
We'll get to finally hear from Matt the Misfit, hopefully. I'm excited for that.
That could be a fun conversation.
We might get to hear from Megan.
Yeah, Megan, if you're, of course, welcome to plug in as well, if you'd like. You don't have to be on Facecam. You can put something in front of the webcam. You can also do a
StreamYard is a great thing where you can put an image in place of your camera. So, yeah, so you could just save the same Twitch image that you have for your Twitch icon.
Fair enough, Megan. Completely respect that. I wouldn't, Wiggly. It's entirely up to you what you say. I know what you want to say. I know what you want to sing. So you could just do that. After all, that's what you bring to the chat as well, isn't it? And Jadov says, dude, I looked away and came back and saw that and was worried I missed something good. That's it. We can just have some drama.
I mean, between me and you, we can start some really fun drama.
I reckon so. But we'll work something out. It's just a case of It'll be an option available. I just need to find some way to keep the show rolling tomorrow. And that's something you have to consider when it comes to streams. If I came into spoiler warning without any news, without the Raw preview, without the rumor look back, and said, okay, all I will do is answer your questions, I feel I'd get about 25, 30 minutes out of it. Because we've got a good chat here, and they'll give a lot of stuff. You guys will ask questions, you'll engage, you'll go off topic from wrestling, you'll get people talking. But still, 25, 30 minutes is a bit different from the 75 I've been getting recently.
And by the way, the spoiler warning shows have been some of your best shows lately because of the fact that you're getting all that news. So you're saving the time from having to record a YouTube video by just recording spoiler warning.
Yeah, and all I have to do then is cut up spoiler warning and we're sorted.
And it's not a whole lot of editing involved, I imagine, because the YouTube videos, again, no offense, they don't look like they're hugely, I would say they don't look hugely edited. It's like, all right, what timestamp did I start talking about this story? What timestamp did I stop? Cool. Boink, boink, done.
That's pretty much exactly it. I'll cut out any time when I pause for a drink or anything. I stick something in the top left saying that you can find us on Twitch. And that's it. That's basically it. I do that for 4 or 5 videos per show. Knock up the keywords and stuff, and that's job done.
I think Adam Cole is just one.
He has. J-Dub says MJF's cousin's best friend will be happy to be on as long as he has advance notice and he does have a rider for all appearances. Damn it. Is he worth it, though? I mean, we've got a lot of good info from him today. And Megan says it's more the timing than anything. My family have early work schedules, so I have to be very quiet past about 9 p.m. so they can sleep. Fair enough, Megan. Absolutely understand that. We hope that you got all of the NXT goodness you wanted out of this NXT watch party. We hope that random people who dropped in looking for NXT Great American Bash stuck around because of all the NXT talking we did. This isn't a show that grows. This is a show that just...
This maintains the audience we already have.
Basically, yeah. This is a Trump show. Appeal to the base.
Yeah.
But we're going to wrap it up now. We're going to say a big thanks to everyone who's joined us. We know we don't always do these Tuesday shows, so I'm very grateful that even though it's out of schedule, people do still come along and support the show with the viewership, with the likes and stuff on YouTube. I know I said likes and the like, which was a ridiculous thing to say. And so on and so forth. Average watch time is important. And even though viewership here will bring down my average viewers, and that will affect my promotion from Twitch going forwards, I had a really good time. Ed,
as did I.
Give us a sign-off, Ed, from yourself.
You can find me at Ed12584 on Twitter. You can find me moderating here. And occasionally, you can find me at Love Wrestling. The next time you can find me there, guaranteed, is going to be, I think, this Saturday afternoon. But maybe not if I'm gaming. And
of course, I'm Tom Collahue. This is literally my channel, so I'd imagine you know who I am by now. I am going to be heading off from here. Love Wrestling is going live right now, so let's send people over there, shall we? So that they can check it out. It is Love Wrestling CA. So we'll send a raid over on Twitch. Meanwhile, on YouTube, we'll be sticking around for a couple of extra moments after the raid. But at this point, we'll be heading off, closing everything down. So I will say goodbye for now. Please stick around for the raid. And we will see you again for the birthday party tomorrow, 10 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. EST. Please do celebrate with me because I rarely have parties. And you guys are the guys I want to have a party with. Good night, everybody.